Hello, welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. Actually, this is a very special episode. It's episode 50. Technically, it's episode 51. As you remember, or you may not remember, as I just like to imagine that people are there sitting there going, I remember. I started with episode 0 because something possessed me. I was under the impression that you're supposed to have a beta episode where you're like testing out the bugs, and like I've never stopped having bugs, so I don't know why I did it, but I had an episode 0 to sort of test things out. It ended up that it's been messing me up this whole time ever since, because every time that there's been a landmark, episode 25 or, whatever, when I've been trying to keep track of episodes, it throws me off. And so I received a notice from Buzzsprout, which supports and it puts my podcast out on 100 different platforms, that congratulations, you've reached episode 50 last week on In My World, episode 49. And I promised that I wasn't going to get into the weeds way back in the beginning. I said, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I'm sick of it. I apologize for even having episode 0. Let's all agree that episode 0 never existed, but yeah, it exists. And that episode's called First Episode Suck, and now you know why. Anyway, so congratulations, episode 51. Technically episode 50. Well, episode 51 is the technical episode, but it's actually episode 50 in my pretend world. So just go with it. 2 episodes away from a year. But again, we're not getting in the weeds because we've been doing it a year as of next week. But we're going to call that one episode 51, and then episode 52 will be a year for us. Does that even make sense? Anyway, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for visiting. I'm sure by now, if this is the first episode you've ever heard, you're wondering why you're even listening to it. But I am Mike Gonzalez, your host, and Lost Like Mike is my way of having therapy. I basically tell you how I'm doing and the things that are going on in my life, in hopes that you may find a bit of yourself in it, and conversely can share your thoughts and experiences with me, and I will feel less disconnected as I float in space and try to tether myself to some sort of reality. All right. Well, lots gone on. I know last week was Father's Day episode, and there was a lot of things that I wanted to talk about on that episode, and I was just all about dads that day. So I have a lot to talk about today. I always say that, and then we'll see if I even get off the first topic. But I did yard work today, a ton of yard work, and it's really hot here in Texas. I mean, I started, later than I wanted to, because, you can't tell right now, but I've been fighting off a cough. Last week's episode, you could hear it a little bit more, but this morning I was really bad. It's Sunday, so I was gonna go to church, and it was painful, with the coughing and this fit of coughing. Plus I slept like garbage last night, and I decided to get up, and I just felt super sick, like whatever was brewing was boiling over, and I was all of a sudden super sick. Right now, after doing the yard, I expect it to be like 10 times worse. because of the elements and because of allergies and the allergies aggravating my sinuses. But for some reason, take a nice shower, and good as new. I was proud last night. One of the reasons why I had a hard time sleeping was the things I'm proud of, right? I have a guitar amp, a little guitar amp, and a looping pedal, and some chords, whatever. And my intention is to set up this station where I can rehearse solos and songs and write songs and stuff. And mind you, I've had all this equipment for a long time. I found the amplifier at a garage sale, and it's a really good deal, so I bought it. And the looping pedal I've literally had for years. My wife says literally all the time, and she's getting me in the habit. I'm truly trying not to, because I think it's a silly thing to say. Why would it not be literally, unless I'm saying, when pigs fly or something. Anyway, so I've been putting it off because when you're trying to juggle time management and people are asleep in the house at weird hours, and you just feel like you're a burden on everybody. So there's never a good time to test it out and figure things out. But I said, you know what, forget it, I'm doing it. And I did like not a 2 hour, but I did like a 1 hour version of Little Wing. Just jamming, man, just playing guitar. But that was like after a half an hour of trying to figure out which chords worked and which were garbage that I should have thrown away years ago and all that stuff. So, but I was very proud of myself for doing that. And then, but it got me all excitable, and I couldn't go to sleep, and I needed rest super bad. So that's my bad for not resting. I got this dope shirt. I found it at a Goodwill. I'm hoping it's like a band or something. I didn't have my phone on me at the time, but I'm wearing it right now. Also, I was listening back to an old episode, and ladies and gentlemen, I understand it's a podcast, and I apologize if you're listening on any of the different platforms that it comes on as just a podcast. I take for granted that it's also on YouTube, and I've gone back and on a lot of episodes, I talk about visual things. Although I'm pretty good about describing it, it's not nice for me to be like, ooh, and I love this shirt, because, who gives a care? We're just listening on a podcast. But since I've already opened my big mouth, it has letters on the top, and then it has like a robot with lightning bolts coming out of its hands, with like energy balls in its hands, and then all these people at the bottom running away from it. And in all fairness, if you're looking at YouTube, it's not in frame, so everybody's screwed in this scenario. I just felt like talking about it because I like it, and it's new, and that's all there's to it. I'm getting ready for a show. I'm going to go perform downtown for my Sunday show, and yesterday we performed, and I live in San Antonio, and everybody's all excited about the NBA #1 draft pick. I think his name's Wembley. Do you remember the Fraggles? Wasn't there like a Wembley? If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look him up and put a picture of Wembley on there. But cheese and crackers, this guy's he's super tall and ginormous hands, and I'm sure he could just like walk over and place the ball into the hole. I'm sure he's not going to have any problem doing well. But everybody's all super excited about this gentleman coming to play basketball here in town. And I was at work, and this one of my team members said, "Don't tell me you're not a fan." And listen, I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I don't know how to get excited about it. I don't even know where he's from. But he's not from San Antonio, so it's not like they drove through the neighborhood and said, "Hey, you want to play a game of basketball? We're going to drive over to Austin and play against 5 guys from their city and see who drinks healthier water." I don't know. I mean, I get it. It's our franchise, and we are, have our name associated with it as far as our city, but I don't know. Plus, I mean, well, we're not going to get into all that. It's kind of silly. Listen, I love the sport. I used to play it all the time. I would love to play it again. I have a brand new basketball, but my knee's like, I don't think so. But one of these days I'm going to drop one of these days. I'm in the process of losing the weight, all right? I talked about my doctor visit having to do with that. Everything in my life is associated with how much I weigh. And the added weight that's put an extra strain on different parts of my body, and my knee is one of them. I'm supposed to get x-rays. I didn't because I'm a procrastinator, and it would have entailed, my wife's been very busy, so I was asking her to help me out, getting me booked. And, but I think I have one of the things they describe as stuff in the knee. And I think that's what I have because, I feel things when I'm bending it. Anyway, I'm not a doctor, but, no, I love basketball. I love the sport, but I tend to lean towards I like street ball better than I like the NBA. A lot of times I just feel like the referees, and it's kind of a hack take on it. I know, who cares? I'm just saying the refs control the game like it's a Harlem Globetrotters game. They call fouls at the weirdest times. And I mean, I'm not saying weird. Sometimes you can travel if you're a superstar. Sometimes you can't, depending on the point spread. And it just gets to be where it's sort of disheartening to watch for me because, I just have a tendency. I mean, I get caught up in those moments where blatantly somebody slaps somebody's hand, but it's, one of the top draws for the sport. So he gets away with it and he gets to throw a fit. And when somebody just enters his, area, and it's kind of like, well, all right. And then if I have to watch that one, no, I mean, what was his name? Watching Steve Curry chew on his mouth guard, triggers this gag reflex that freaks me out. So, but he's such a good shooter, and I love to watch him shoot 3-pointers. But just keep that crap in your mouth, dude. Why do you gotta dangle it out of your mouth? It's like babas and stuff. It's gross. I don't understand. All right, but anyway, so Wembley from the Fraggles joined the Spurs, and we're gonna have a great season. And apparently, the point of saying all that was that there was a parade downtown yesterday, and so all these people went downtown. As I was leaving, because we have an early show on Saturdays, a matinee as it were, and so the parking garage was getting really full as I was leaving. Made it, I had to try to figure out what was going on as I was trying to exit. But exciting downtown times. So, and brought all the locals out, which is fun. Gosh, I'm gonna feel bad. I'm gonna have to look up his name, but sounds real smart-assy that I'm calling him Wembley. But anyway, so needless to say, a series of unfortunate events has caused me to not sleep well. Well, good events too, like playing guitar is not bad. It's good. I'm sorry, I'm typing, and apparently I can't type and talk. Also, they had 2 new players, right? They got, what's the deal? Apparently they got a whole bunch of new players. Victor Wembanyama. Oh, geez, and crackers. Wembanyama. 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 I just said that 3 times in a row. I apologize. That is not quality podcast content. But I was just trying to pronounce it correctly. Where did I get Wembley from? Did they have like a nickname for him? I'm sure y'all just want to quit by now. Just give me a second. Wembanyama nickname. Oh no. Okay, no. We're not doing that. Anyway, his name is not Wembley. I apologize, Wembanyama. I don't know. I'm gonna steer very clear from that entire topic because I just feel like a hee-haw donkey for even trying to talk about this Spurs player, and then I got his name all wrong. However, while we're playing our show, they were playing the draft picks on the screen, and the Spurs had 2 new players that they got in the draft. Okay, so they had the number 1 draft pick, and everybody's talking about that person, and that person was, this individual is getting the parades and everything, and then like pick 47 or something, pick 27, something like that, the Spurs got a second player. And nobody's talking about the second player. And I feel really bad for that person. Because, I mean, you got to be stupid talented to be in the NBA, like ridiculously good to not only make it, into the draft, but to be selected and to make it onto an NBA team. And then, like, to be overshadowed by the number 1 draft pick must be difficult. I feel for you, guy. But like, I don't know any of the players on the roster. I couldn't tell you one player, So, but the art looks good. So we'll leave it at that. I'm excited because I get to go. We're going on vacation. I'm taking a mini vacation, like nothing major. I mean, 2 nights, 3 days, and we're going down to the coast. And it could be a bad idea, but we're taking my dog. And I mean, obviously it's going to be a challenge to take the dog with us to the beach, but we have like a house that we're renting or something like that. Maybe it's Airbnb. I don't know. I don't know the details, but I know it's like a home. And so the dog will be out there kicking it for a little bit and probably get like super hot in like an hour, and we'll be done running in the water or whatever, and then just spend the day. The dog will spend the day, doing what it does here, which is taking naps and, hanging out. And there's like a doggy area for it to do its business and whatnot, like a dog. So, but I can tell you one thing though, and I really wish that my wife was here to talk about this for her part of it, but she's one of the biggest advocates for vacations. Like, she really wants to go on vacations all the time. Well, I say all the time, but she just enjoys vacation. But if you were to watch her in the preparation stage, like, it's exhausting just watching her. Like, she makes lists and things to pack, of things to buy at the store. hotel reservation, I mean, like the reservations or whatever, budgets, money, figuring all that out. And then, so we're not even going for like a couple of days from now. Like it's going to be, in the middle of the week or something, but we're having everything. We're deep cleaning the house no one's going to be here, but I guess in case somebody breaks in, they don't want to be like, the house is filthy, right? But, which in a way is kind of good, right? Because she's been spring cleaning, and throwing things away, getting, trying to make the house as neat as possible and stuff. But just exhausting. Stressing about the dog. Is this a good idea, bad idea? She's lost a lot of weight, so it's this bathing suit or that bathing suit, and just, I feel bad for her. But me, I'm just kind of like, well, they get to do nothing for 3 days, I've offered to help. I do my part. I clean, whatever. This part's hard for me. But, that's why another reason I had to do the art. She was like, we have to have the front and backyard looking good before we leave. And it's like, for what? Like, I like the idea of doing the yard, but it didn't look bad. And we're not going to even see it for the 3 days that we're gone. So it won't even be like driving in and saying, this yard could use a nice trimming or whatever. I will say one thing though. I was going out to the backyard to get ready to do the yard, and I was noticing like the different types of weeds and like the crabgrass and different things that I'm looking at, and I got a little, wild hair, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna YouTube. I'm gonna try to look and see what steps I could take. You know what I mean, to get rid of some of these weeds, because it's looking like it's killing some of the other grass and whatnot, right? Maybe look at a watering schedule. Let's get educated. Let's Google this. Let's YouTube it. And I've been pretty proud of my yard in the past. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'll edge it and mow it, and I do this crop circle around the trees that make it look, nice. But I'm telling you, this I flipped on this one YouTube channel, and his yard looked like a golf course. And then he's like, we're gonna treat this house over here. And I swear, his before picture looked like my after picture. It was the most depressing thing that I had ever, seen with regard to my yard. He was like, you see these patches of weeds and whatever, even though it's nicely cut down and stuff, he was saying, and I was just, yeah. So we're in the heart of summer right now. We're not in the heart, but like in the beginning of the super hot summer. So, no real use in me fussing over it or getting all worked up about it, but yeah. But it just goes to show you. I was watching an episode of come on, Mike. Is it called Chef? With that one fellow on it? Anyway, it's a very popular show right now, and I'm gonna be beating myself up for that all day. But yeah. The Bear. What an idiot. All right, the show's called The Bear. It's because they say yes, chef all the time in the show. And so I'm like thinking about it. But anyway, I was watching one of the episodes and he was talking about surrounding himself with somebody who was better than he was, and it pushed him to be, he thought he was pretty hot stuff, but then he was hanging out with this other like incredible genius, and he realized pretty quickly that that guy was way better, and that it pushed him to be better himself. And I think that's an important thing to pick up on, you know? I think that when you, the quicker you realize that your after picture looks like somebody else's before picture, you know, the quicker you're gonna see the possibilities of, you know, better quality or better in whatever effort that you're doing. I find that to be true surrounding, like, finding and watching quality, like, awesome singers, you know. Sometimes early on, like when TikTok first came out, it just seemed like if you like you put in a search for singers, right? I mean, it's just these incredibly talented savants that are just like genius. They're like singing all awesome and with crazy inflections and runs and all over the place, and you just think, shoot, I guess you know, maybe I'll make pots, and you know, maybe I'll paint pictures. And then you look at the people doing the art, and the same thing happens. No, but it's actually a positive thing, you know, you start looking at all these different talented individuals, and the possibilities are endless. I mean, at least that's the way I'm looking at it. If you're open to learning and to acknowledging that there's people that are just way better at doing certain aspects of the things that you do, that's okay. There's no harm in that, no foul. I think everybody has a song to sing, a picture to paint, you know, a thought to share. Everybody does. And there's an audience for all those things. There's people out there that will appreciate whatever unique thing that you have to offer. I truly believe that. You know, it's kind of the way that they talked about the multiple universes. You know what I mean? Where they said, like, if you can imagine any scenario in like these in like in an infinite amount of universes, then you can imagine any outcome, and in one of these universes it would be true, right? So in a world of 7 billion people, I'm sure that there's a niche audience for whatever weird thing that you want to do. I mean, right? And I don't know how we got on this topic. I really don't. I was thinking about vacation, and I will not be able to find my path back to where I was going. So I digress. We can move on. All right, I'm going to tell a story about some shady stuff, and then I want to hear, well, mainly just so I can express this idea, but okay. So I love my dentist. Random. I do like my dentist a lot. I'm used to my dentist, okay? So my dentist, here's how it goes. I go in, they clean my teeth, right? And then they take a series of x-rays, and my dentist will be like, he'll come in, and he'll be, let me level with you, and he'll tell me what's going on. Here's the forecast. Here's the future. Here's where you're at. This is what I see. I'm not going to BS you. Let's go. You want to take care of any of these things? Cool. There it is, right? All right, that's what I'm used to. And when I first started going to him, there was, I had some issues, whatnot. But over time, he's not milking me for money. He'll just, good job or do better, whatever it is. I think the last time I had maybe like one filling or something. I don't know, whatever. But, okay. I'm prefacing the story by saying this because this is the world that I know. Okay. So maybe a month ago, I started on this train of getting my son braces. I've talked a little bit about it on the previous shows. And as all things, it can't just be simple. It can't be just like, okay, ready? You got some metal stuff to put in his mouth. Let's go. Next. He went in for his consultation and they said he needed a teeth cleaning and for a dentist to give him the A-OK because they were going to have to pull some teeth and then they could do it. I mean, just a whole, bunch of steps prior to him getting started on this, the journey of 1,000 steps, right? But except before you even get started, you have to like go to the shoe store. I don't know. That's my analogy. So I took him to his consultation at the dentist. Okay. Well, they were going to clean his teeth, take the x-rays and get it going. All right. We do our bit. He's in there. He's getting his stuff done. He's getting cleaned. It's fantastic. Gosh, did I ever tell that story? I wonder. I would love for my son to be here for that story. But we've had a hard time with dentists in the past. I probably did tell that story, but when my son was in the transitional stage from children, little baby teeth to adult teeth, his dentist told him that he needed to get rid of his baby teeth, that it was causing an impact and he needed to wiggle them to help him along, and that if he didn't get them out, then he would have to have them removed. Okay. And I really don't want to tangent, but I'm going to go ahead and tell this quick story. So I took him to the dentist. This was early on, and the dentist said, I told you to get these teeth out. Now it's causing damage. We need to get you in here to get them out, to get them pulled. And there was two teeth that needed to come out in this manner. And I went out to the front desk, the receptionist, and I said, well, can we get an estimate? And it was basically like $200 a tooth. And it was just him being not wiggling it like he was told. He had, plenty of time to mess with it, whatever. And where I come from, you tie a string around it, close the door, and then the tooth comes out, right? But I'm not a tyrant. But anyway, so we went out to outside of the dentist's office. They had like these benches, and it was really like a pretty scenery. And we were sitting on these benches, and I said, son, I'm gonna level with you. You're gonna need these teeth out. It's hurting. It's impacting the way your adult teeth are coming in. We're gonna have to get them to pull it. Well, I don't want them to pull it. And that was kind of the way that it was. He didn't want to go through somebody else doing it. I said, and then meanwhile he's talking to me and he's wiggling the tooth, and he's just wiggling at it and wiggling at it and wiggling at it. And I say, look, I'm not $200. I don't care. $400. It doesn't matter. Look, if it needs to happen, it needs to happen. And honest to God, you gotta believe me when I say this. That was my take on it. I was not like, son, pull your teeth out, man. I don't want to spend that money. You know what I mean? I was really leveling with him. I just was like, look, I'll tell you what. You wiggle this tooth and it comes out. If it happens to come out, then he don't have to do it. And then, maybe I'll buy you a new video game or something with the money that you save from all this stuff. But it's not here nor there. Just wiggle it like you're normally wiggling. And as we're talking, and he's wiggling, one of the two teeth comes out. And, there's a little bit of blood, but I mean, that's, I mean, he didn't yank it out. He was just wiggling it and it came out. And we're like, you got it. You did it. You wiggled it. Let's go. He like, keep on wiggling. Let's get this other one, whatever. Like, but I made the mistake of calling his mother, who we don't get along. And, so it becomes a bickering argument about, well, you should have been taking him to the dentist more often. You should have been more involved in him pulling his teeth and blah, 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 blah. And you're going to pay for it. I said, I don't have a problem paying for it, whatever, arguing, whatever. But it sounded like I was chastising and yelling at and speaking harshly to my son. It sounded like that from inside. So the receptionist comes outside and sees my son with blood on his lip, and he's tearing at his tooth, wiggling at the other one. So, and I looked horrible. I was like mortified again. I was like, dude, man. And listen, I don't care what people think of me. I don't like the wrong ideas to be out there, but whatever. I can't control what people think. I think we ended up leaving because she was like, if I can't have y'all out here talking like this. And I was like, all right, I'm sorry, whatever. We'll take off. I'll call you later. We ended up going like to a Sonic drive-through. A Sonic, where like, we sat there eating a milkshake while he wiggled the second tooth, and it came out no problem. His choice. He didn't want to, he's told me later in life, because like all, teenagers that want to make their parent feel guilty. He says he only did it, and it was painful, and he only did it because we were arguing about it. And I feel really bad, but we weren't arguing about spending the money on him. But you think you'd learn, right? You think you'd learn, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, flashback to today. So I took him to his initial consultation, and there we are. And it took him over an hour to do the cleaning and the x-rays and everything. And then he comes out with a sheet of paper, and it says, yeah, I've got tons of cavities. And yeah, I got to get it was several fillings. So, well, that's to be expected. Okay, what's the damage? We get out to and meanwhile, as I'm sitting in the lobby, there was a lady that was arguing with the receptionist there at that dentist office. This was a different one than we've gone when he was little, because he's an adult now. But this individual was yelling at the receptionist about the shadiness of their bill, and I was listening to it intently because I just felt like, like all people that have a tendency to listen to watch car crashes or whatever. You just have you feel compelled to listen when somebody's being like feisty about their bill. Anyway, my son walks out with this piece of paper. We go out, and it was raining, I remember. So we were standing outside of the office, looking at the parking lot that we have to cross to get to our cars, and waiting for the rain to die down. He hands me the paper, and it's over $1,000 of dental work. And I was like, that's crazy, but we'll figure it out. So we drive away, and his mom is she knows a lot about insurance, and Julie knows a lot about all that stuff too. So they were like, well, we'll resubmit it, and we'll make sure that the insurance is being applied, and we'll see what's up, right? So I get an email like that next day, and they revised the dental plan, and it went from like over $1,000, like 1,100 something, it dropped down to $230. And I said, let's go. It's going to cover all these. It's going to cover your fillings and $230. So I called the dentist, prepaid it, done. Okay. So he goes in for the first day of treatment, right, to get the fillings in. They split it up in the fillings on the top portion of his mouth and the bottom portion of his mouth. Okay. Only reason this is necessary is because I'm telling you there's more than one visit. All right, here we go. So I get a phone call because I couldn't take him to this one. And it's from his mom. And she says, okay, well, they didn't see it in the x-ray, but he's going to need a crown. And he probably is going to need a root canal. And this is where I'm talking to you about. Okay. She said, they started the first, they drilled out the hole. It's $750 on top of what you paid. $750. And I just said, right away, my mind goes to shady. Because how is there a tooth so bad that it needs a root canal and it's not shown on an x-ray, right? Am I crazy? Am I being unfair, irrational, or like, I know I'm not a dentist, I'm not pretending to be one, but isn't the point of having an x-ray is to see through things? Did they just get a really bright light and put it right behind his head and see what they saw? I mean, what are we talking about here? Well, and then his second visit was today. And of course, even though I was asking on that first day, is this $750 everything that we're talking about? Of course, I get a call today saying that that it's going to be the second half of the crown was $750, and if he needs a root canal, that's another $1,100. And I said, see, here we go. Here we go. What was $230 is now $2,700, whatever. It's a scam in my mind, because it's not like I've never had a root canal or a crown. It's not like I haven't ever had x-rays or had a dentist that had a point one out to me. But, I find it hard to believe that is how it transpired. Now listen, I could be wrong. It could be that, everything looks fine and there's a sinkhole right beneath one of your molars, and by all accounts it looks like a normal tooth, and then you drill the little dark spot and all of a sudden the cave collapses and there's a cavern with an echo. I get it. I find it hard to believe. I find it far easier to believe that a dentist would get you in the door with $230 and then get you on the hook for $2,700 and say that that's a bit shady, right? But of course, my son's mom thinks it's me against her and me being critical of her, and so we're kind of at an impasse where I just said, look, I get flashbacks of our conversation outside of the dentist's office, and I'm just like, do the work that needs to get done, but after this, we're no longer going to this dentist. You're going to go to my dentist, because that's what we should have done from the beginning. But they wanted to, go to a dentist on their side of town, which is understandable. But man, right? Maybe you can comment or whatever. Send me an email, lostlightmike@gmail.com, and vent about your situations. Because I think it's textbook con artist, at its best. So I wanted to tell the story. I told it on the ghost episode that was destroyed. I ended up deleting it today. But so I was performing at one of my shows, and there was these ladies there, and this one lady kept coming up and she wanted to sing songs. So she wanted to get up on stage and sing. And anyway, and she was having a good time. She's drinking, having a good time. And she sang like 2 songs. And sometimes people do that, in these bar type settings. It's not so much a performance all the time where you just sing the songs and they just, good job, whatever. It's more like sometimes they want to get involved and make it a spectacle or like have a good time. So whatever. All right. And we go to break, and this lady kind of comes up, and she's a little tipsy, but she's like, all right, so what's next? And I'm like, well, we're going to be playing by ear, and if the audience was hear certain styles of music. And then she cuts me off and she says, how about it? It's really hard for me not to make out with you right now. I said, what? Say what? Say what? I mean, literally, it hurts me right now to not be making out with you. And I said, okay, I don't know that song, but, and I said, I gotta go get a drink before I get back on stage, so I'm out, right? And, but in all honesty, it made me feel good about myself in that moment, right? Because this lady was coming up and singing songs, and while I'd be singing, and she'd be pointing at me and going, oh, this guy, right? He can sing, all right. And, grain of salt, you take it, you know that these people are inebriated, and so you sound better, their ears are very forgiving. It's like beer goggles for the ears. But, I mean, I'm not crapping on myself. Anyway. But you get to be a little bit, you can, feel a little bit attractive when somebody hits on you like that, right? I went up I got my drink, went up on stage, and I told my guy Vince, I said, this happened. And I told him I was going to talk about it on the podcast. He said he didn't think I would do it, but whatever. So I go back up on stage and I'm like, hey man, I told him the story. I said, so funny, right? We were laughing. I was laughing because he won't give me nothing. He'll literally say, yeah, she must be drunk if she thinks that you're somebody she wants to make out with. Like, that's his take on everything. Oh, somebody said you sing good. I must, because they must be falling over drunk or on drugs. Like, anyway. So, but we start playing, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see that she is fully making out with some rando in the corner. And then, like, a couple songs later, she's like with another dude in the group that they're hanging out with now, making out with another rando. And I was like, oh, this fool is just like wanting to get sloppy, like with whoever. And it was like, wah, wah, like I couldn't even take that one home and feel good about myself. But anyway, so I did want to get credit for one thing though. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen or heard about this phenomena with Keanu Reeves. All right, Keanu Reeves, when he takes a picture with somebody, right, he won't touch them, and not only will he not touch them, but he'll put his hands out where you can see it off to the side. And it's sort of like his way of saying, I'm respecting this person's personal bubble. I mean, this is, even though the woman will be hanging on him, or the guy will be hanging on him, he still will give that, you know, it's just this known thing. I'm sure if you don't know about it, I'll put a picture up, but I'm sure if you can Google it or something. Keanu Reeves in pictures. He just doesn't touch, he doesn't put his arms on their sides or on their butts or on their arm. He just doesn't. And so on a separate night, I'm doing a show, and this married couple comes up, and the dude actually came up and sang. He had a good voice. And the whole show, his wife was saying how we were making their night, and they were so excited, and they were all about it, and they were this young couple, and she was younger couple, and she was an attractive woman, and at the end of the night, I'm putting up chords, and she says, can I get a picture with you? I just want a picture so I can have it, I'm like, sure. And I did the Keanu Reeves. And I just wanted somebody to go, hey man, good job. Like, I like that you did that. Or I recognize that you did that. But nobody noticed. And it frustrated me because I thought it was so funny. I should say it like this. Nobody takes pictures with me. I'm not saying that in a negative, woe is me or whatever. It just doesn't happen all the time. But I think I always kind of acknowledged when I was checking out these Keanu Reeves pictures, the novelty of it, and thinking to myself about it, I thought, well, that's kind of a cool thing. I really should try to work on doing something like that, like in the future. And I'm telling you, this woman was like, well, I'm going to be sexy in my picture. She said that out loud. She's like, well, I just got to be sexy in my picture. So, whatever. And I'm like, bada boom. I put my hands out. I said, you do you. I'm going to, be Keanu Reeves in this moment. And, she struck a pose or whatever. And I was just like, hands out, like I was jazz handing it all day. I was not going to go anywhere near. And the husband took the photographs. And I would have thought he would have been like, thanks for doing the Keanu Reeves, man. Appreciate you. But nothing. But I was just saying, I never get a chance to take pictures with people. And so I was very excited to have an opportunity to try out the Keanu Reeves pose, and it worked. But even like a waitress or like a bartender, manager, somebody at the club, I wanted somebody to be like, yo, you did the Keanu Reeves, right? And I would have been like, yes, in fact, I did. But alas, nobody noticed. Yeah, if a tree falls in the forest. Anyway, I got to go do my show, so I'm gonna take off. Y'all have a good week. Thank you for listening, telling a friend. I did want to say that though. I need to just shake it off and start promoting these shows, or just talk about it on posting them on different social media platforms, or sharing them, letting other people see these episodes. I stifle my own exposure by doing those things, and I know it's because I'm still in, like, friends on like Facebook, for example. It's not necessarily the crowd that I want to share it with. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I would rather share it with strangers. But anyway, I often see friends of mine and other people promoting their projects or things that they're doing, and I mean, just shameless promotion, just out there pushing and pushing, and I'm like always thinking, should I be doing that, or what's keeping me from doing that type of promoting? And it's always this catch-22. It's this paradox of me wanting to wanting to share my thoughts with as many people as possible, and then they, on the other side of the coin, not wanting to just freely share my thoughts with everybody. And that's natural. I think everybody has that kind of conundrum, that sort of part of themselves that on one hand wants to do something, and then on the other sort of doesn't, or has an issue with it. And I think if I can get to the bottom of that, I would better understand why I don't. What holds me back from like, I record a song, and why I won't post it on to let people hear it, or why, like, what keeps me from it. Anyway, I'm gonna head to my show, but y'all have a great day. Message me on any of the platforms. I really try to check as many as I can, but just, if the best way is just to send me a quick little email at lostlikemike@gmail.com. Let me know how you're doing, and thanks for all the messages and comments.